Hello and welcome to this Town Talk special. I'm your host, Stephen Downs, and with me as ever is Mr. Kane Hall, the one that loves to analyse every single scintilla of a fixture, and that's what we'll be doing in our victory over Mansfield Town yesterday. We're hoping that Mr. Callum Scott can still join us a little bit later on to give us his view from the cowshed. But as ever, thanks you very much for everybody joining us on tonight's show. It's going to be a really good discussion. Obviously, a big week coming up for Town, and we're still hanging on to our playoff hopes. Please do get involved with the show. Comment, down below, and we'll show the comments on screen. And please do like and share the video. But first of all, Ken, how are you doing, my friend? You having a good weekend?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Busy one, busy weekend. I had a game today as well, and thankfully it's been a while, but 2 wins this weekend that I've been commentating on, so it really does make a bit of a difference. I'll be honest with you though, first half performances for both sides that I commentated on this weekend were poor. We're all about the second half this weekend, so yeah, we're happy with that going into the week with a spring in the step.
So you were at Bowls this afternoon, I think, wasn't you, with Sheffield?
Yeah, I was at Bradford Bulls versus Sheffield Eagles, 1895 quarter-final. But Bulls weren't great in the first half, lacked that bit of leadership. But second half, they were, just different class. They've got look, rugby league won't mean much to too many people, but Bulls have got a player called Franklin Pele. And he's called Frank the Tank, and he is absolutely massive. He's huge. He's an absolute unit, and he made a break from the 30-metre line inside his own half, went over to the wing, pushed people over out of his way, ran another 40 yards before finding a pass on the inside. It was unbelievable. But yeah, it was nice to have a Town victory and then see Bulls win as well.
Yeah, nice, lovely. Well, thanks very much. We've got loads of people already commenting, which we will get to. But to start the show, I just want to play a little clip because Kane, obviously, throughout his broadcasting career so far, loves to come up with predictions. Some he doesn't quite get right, as with the Charlton Athletic game the other week, but some he absolutely does. And to be fair, I prepared this video earlier to show on tonight's show, to give as well criticism of a Charlton video, but praise Kane for his prediction for Mansfield. So here's Kane at the John Smith Stadium on Saturday.
The sun is shining. Town 5-1. I'm going to say 2-1 Town.
So he predicted a 2-1 win. It was like you knew, Kane.
It's like I knew. Look, sometimes 30 seconds in a game and a mistake can change everything. I'm just glad you've put that back on there for me, Steve, because last week you just bullied me, in all fairness. But I'm glad to have it back a little bit this week.
Make sure you get your comments into to feel sorry for Kane, because
please do.
Or hashtag pray for Kane. Right, let's get on with talking about Mansfield. Obviously, Town won yesterday at John Smith Stadium, 1-2-1. Ben Wiles and Ruben Ruskins with the goals. First half, Kane, I'll give you my appraisal. I thought it was not the worst I've seen us play this season, but it was, quite boring, I thought. Mansfield, in my opinion, had the better of the possession in terms of the attacking wise. Obviously, they hit the post, and Will Evans, God knows how he missed, because he should have scored. And yeah, I thought Mansfield were all right, to be honest. And they played a very interesting formation. Like Lucas Akins played nearly every position throughout the match. But that was what I thought of the first half. Really, I was pleased with the lineup, though. When we came to, I see you before the game, and I was happy with the lineup. I thought it was very attacking. He clearly had thought about it worthy during the week, what had not gone right for him in the last 2 fixtures against Charlton and Lincoln, and decided to mix it up slightly.
Yeah, just first of all these comments that have come in so far are absolutely fantastic. We do see the comments, not just when Steve puts them on screen. So
yeah,
it's great to have them in, and I'm sure we're going to have a good few of them on screen anyway. In terms of the lineup, look, you know what you're going to get with Worthy now. It's going to be a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. Two formations that can interchange, interlock, do whatever you want. They're very fluid between each one, depending on what you need to do. I thought there was a lack of shape from Chua, who I thought he was lucky to be starting, but I think there's something different needed for Town.
Yeah.
Especially when, look, Karoma, I'm not his biggest fan, but he is going to be a lot better on the left wing in this formation. And I thought Marshall was actually quite unlucky not to be starting. In all honesty, I thought Wiles were lucky to be starting as well. I thought his performances haven't been great. And in all fairness, Wiles' first half performance was poor and came into it in the second. I'm sure we'll get onto that. But in this kind of formation, you've got to use the field. You've got to use the pitch. And this is something I've been saying for a long time on this podcast in terms of the formation that Michael Duff was playing, the formation that Jonathan Worthington's playing, and how you use the field. Now, Chua, he was so narrow. He kept coming in. He was closing up the space for Taylor, closing up the space for Wiles. And then you're asking a lot for Sorensen to do down that right-hand side. Now, beginning of the season, I expect him to do that. Now, 2 injuries gone and the confidence absolutely shot out of him. Yeah. He ain't going on the end of them balls. He just isn't getting there. And you can see that his game is not to run on to a ball. And I think we saw in the final 10, 15 minutes of the first half that Sorensen got the ball to his feet and took his man on a couple of times. It was brilliant to see. Chua were further out wide right on the right wing, doing what he needed to do, and he put in a couple of good balls in. Before that, it was poor, and you're asking a lot from Sorensen. I know I've just said that, but I felt as if it took Town a good half an hour or so to get into it. Hodge was he coasted through the game.
Yeah.
Taylor worked hard, did Taylor. Ruskin were quiet in the first half. Look, it's not his position. He's a left back.
Yeah.
Ruskin is an unbelievable left back with some great skills who can go forward. And because of the injuries, Town are having to play all over the place. And he's doing a job. So do I expect him to be an 8, 9 out of 10 every week? I expect him to be close. Are we going to get a full performance from him all the time? Playing out of position. Injured as well, by the way. That knee is still heavily strapped up. Probably not. But in the second half, it did what you needed to do. You look across the back four. Great to see Sorensen back starting. I know I've just said the way Town played in that first half an hour wasn't really for him, but he certainly came into it, and I much prefer to see him there. Ruffles, I felt as if deserved to continue at left back. He's not really put a foot wrong, and I thought he actually did superbly well when he went to centre half in the second. Balker brings you what Balker brings you, a lot of quality. He needs that bit of confidence as well, and I think why he came off, I'm not too sure. Hopefully it's just to look after him for Tuesday. Pearson, you know what you get as well. But that first half, I was really impressed with Mansfield, actually. I thought their shape, I thought their formation, the way they played out, they just did what I would expect an Huddersfield Town team to do in that kind of formation. You were stretching the pitch as much as they could. That front three was high and as wide as they could, and that forced a bit of a gap in the midfield. And I thought, because of Chua coming quite narrow, David Kasuma was actually marking 2 players. He was doing the defensive work of Chua and himself. That opened up a fair bit of space in the middle. And I thought the captain, is it Sheen? He had a brilliant game. He had an absolutely brilliant game in the middle of the park for Mansfield, especially in that first half. But it was a quick into midfield, drop it back into the centre defensive midfielder, turn on the spin, down the channel. And it caught Town out. Town, look, they dealt with it, but it got Mansfield turning, it got Huddersfield Town turning, and it put Mansfield on the front foot. And look, Evans puts that away, which he should have done. I on commentary, I said goal, because how can it not? How is he not scored there? I couldn't believe that he missed it, and I think that was also a bit of a wake up call for Huddersfield. And they needed the wake-up call because I thought Mansfield were certainly the better side, especially for half an hour with that first half.
Yeah, I think what you've just said there is spot on, and I agree. I think Mansfield look a better side than where they are in the table. I'll be honest, they don't look 17th quality in this league. You know, we've seen some absolute dross turn up, and I wouldn't put Mansfield in. It's typical Nigel Clough side. Let's be honest, battling, effort. You know, and there was bits of quality in there. I think if Lucas Aikins had a bit more speed about him, if that had been an Aikins of maybe 10 years ago, he would have got round Ruffles a couple more times. But Ruffles dealt really well with it. I agree as well when he went to centre half in the second half, spot on. He doesn't. He reminds me a little bit of Martin Craney. You know, he doesn't really make errors, but he's not one that you can. No, what? Didn't you like Martin Craney?
No.
I liked him. I thought he was all right. Martin Craney was fine. Fair enough. We got a difference of opinion there, but and I agree with what you said on Ruskins as well. That's not his position, but I think he's doing a decent enough job there to be. At the moment, I'd rather him be there than Josh Caroma, because at least Ruskins gets to the byline and wants to cross it in. Thought Sorensen was a bit weak in that first half. You know, not in terms of like effort, but sometimes he got pushed off the ball. You know, there was one moment where Bolker passed it down the line and it went out of play, and Bolker's putting his arms out like, where were you? And Sorensen's like, you know. So I think also because he's not been in the team, there's a bit of that disconnect at the moment.
Yeah.
That seemed to what it come across to me. Bolker expected him to be in that position, and he hadn't made the run, and it went out of play.
Yeah, 100%. But what you're asking Sorensen there to run onto balls, he doesn't want to do that. That's not his game. Yeah. A guy who didn't get injured before he came to Huddersfield Town has had 2 injuries, muscle injuries, because he's been sprinting everywhere. That's the last thing that he wants to do right now. Obviously, he wants to play football, but he wants ball at feet. When he's got ball at the feet, he's a very good player. And we saw that in the first half. And I think that was one of the last times Bolker played it in front of him. And Bolker actually started to pass it to his feet. And there were a few times in the final third, it actually gone round his man. He knocked it round him and got back to the ball. In terms of Ruskin, yeah, over Josh Caroma. I think Josh Caroma brings you the balance of a right footer on the left wing. But he just takes forever. He just wants to take on another man and then take on another man. Whereas Ruskin, he knows when to do that. He knows when to take that an extra touch. He knows when to get the ball in it, and that's just a difference. And yeah, it's not his position, but he's doing a good job there. And you'd struggle to take him out of that position.
Yeah. Let's show some comments. We've got Ben, who's a regular contributor. What a weekend! I think he means for you, Kane. So yeah, what a weekend for everybody involved. Unless you're a Sheffield Eagles fan, and then it's not gone too well. Were these clubs subs were the difference? Blue Terrier 19. Craig says, "Evening guys, great win, a massive plus to have Miller back." Yeah, but we're going to mention him. Ian Nichols says Ruskins was class. Yeah, I agree. Terrier 930 says, great to see Miller back. Think I need my head testing as I have renewed for next season. Yeah, maybe so, but we might mention that in a little while. Craig also says must also give credit to Charles, who battled when he came on. Yeah, we'll mention him as well. We've got a great name here, James Twiggy, Railway and more. What fantastic! Cheers for getting involved. Hi, Huddersfield fan. The game yesterday was a bit boring in the first half game, but second half with some changes, it was a bit better. But at least we got Miller back from injury, and we got a win, definitely so. And there's loads of comments coming in, guys. I can't keep up with them. Ben again, hopefully. Not too far, because he does actually create chances, unlike the others. I think that was a comment to Caroma being injured.
Yeah.
John Pearson says only Town fans would cheer the opposition striker onto the pitch and boo our own striker on. He only went to a football match. Well, that's obviously about Mr. Charles. Let's get our next person in. As ever, it's fantastic that we can call upon Mr. Callum Scott to come in to give the podcast a bit of gravitas here on the show from the Cowshed End. How are we doing, Cal? Have you had a nice weekend, mate?
Good, mate. Yeah, I'm just awaiting my banning order for the display that we did on Saturday. It's not come through yet, but I'm imagining it's on the way.
Oh, okay. Well, we might get to that. Yeah. So, Callum, obviously, we were just talking about the Mansfield win. What was your thoughts upon the first half in particular before we move on to the second half?
I thought we were lackluster is the word that I would use. I thought we offered nothing that Mansfield couldn't cope with, which for a team of our supposed level and a team of their level, you would assume that naturally there's a gulf in class. They didn't seem to be in the first half. They seemed to be able to match us for runs. They seemed to be able to know where we were trying to go, close down those passing lanes. I think they did that really well and sort of had bodies where they needed to have bodies to nullify our first half performance. But I've seen a couple of the comments. Them substitutions then changed the game for me.
Yeah. And Zach also, who can't be here, he has put a comment. Sorry, I can't be there, lads. Miller changed the game. Yeah, let's talk about the subs then. Obviously, the second half came and, Worthy did change it up, brought Mikel Miller back on. And I mean, I really liked Mikel from the start, to be honest. Very positive, loves to go forward from his full back position, loves to take a man on, and actually does have a lot of quality on the ball, Kane. And you could tell, even though he'd been out for a long time with the injury, which must have been a bit devastating for him because he's not been able to get, run of games going. It just looked quality and added that a bit of class when he came on.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent. Great to see him back as well. I think there were one time he had the ball down the byline on his own byline, and he's done a 360, gone around three players and put Town on the attack. I thought Marshall on for Chua was actually the better substitution that was made. I know I've already mentioned I didn't enjoy his first half, but Marshall's a bit more disciplined over on that right-hand side, and he still offers you that threat. He can come inside. He'll work, but he will work back. Kasumu didn't have to do any more of his defending or defending two areas, two players, because Marshall would have done that. But yeah, Miller was brilliant, and what a left side. I think I mentioned that on my comms when he came on, and that left side was dangerous. It was a dangerous left-hand side. They can both do either role, both prefer to be at left back. But what a boost Mikel Miller could be for Town for the rest of the season. Look, in terms of the whole of that second half, it was completely different. It was like watching a different Town, and everyone said it, so I don't really need to say much else about the changes. I thought Hogg would have come on a little bit sooner for Hodge. I really wasn't expecting Balker to come off either. I actually thought at half-time Evans for Wiles, but I was quite glad that didn't happen because Wiles really got into the game the second half. I still don't think he was excellent, but he certainly grew into it. He was winning fouls in the right areas, and that was a big thing for him. And then created that goal. There's that pass just inside the box in the middle could have easily just said, you know what, I'm going to take a shot and shoot, because we've seen him do that at the edge of the area when he's been panicking. So for him to take his time, relax, give it to Ruskin on the left-hand side. What a finish that was, by the way. Why is he so calm in the area? He's just so calm, he's composed, he's relaxed. That is just a completely different kind of player there compared to everyone else in League One. He really has got the quality to be able to do that. And then when he set up Wiles, that is a great run, by the way. That is a superb run from Ben Wiles. It's a late run, back of the area. Ruskin's seen him coming in. It's one left foot of touch, back onto his right foot from Ruskin, across the area into an open space where Ben White can just tap it in. And it was a really, really good goal. Disappointed with the one that Town conceded due to the fact that I could see the coaching staff shouting to mark up at the back post. But when you've got Aidan Flint up against you, you kind of do need two players on there. Felt as if they really should have defended that a little bit better. But it did mean my prediction was right. In terms of Charles, but it's funny, isn't it? Because, you boo on your own player, but then you cheer for Jordan Rhodes. And I think he got one of the biggest cheers of the afternoon, and well-deserved for Jordan Rhodes. But Charles did exactly what he needed to do when he came on. He battled hard. He won fouls in the right areas at the right times, was relaxed, tried things. Maybe it didn't happen a couple of times, but I don't think you could have asked much more from him, apart from putting the ball in the back of the net. But he didn't really have a chance to do that. He had to come and do defending from the front, and he did exactly that. And I'm sure he'll got a few more fans back on side with that kind of performance.
Carl, I think left back arguably is our strongest position, if I'm being totally honest. Mikel Miller and Ruben Ruskins, I mean, like Kane says, both of them are very adept and seem to be very calm at the top end of the pitch. And don't do a bad job at the back end of the pitch in the, where the natural position is. They're both very, very fit, if not obviously Miller's had this injury problem, but they both seem very, very able to get up and down the pitch very easily. And I genuinely think it's a real strength. And maybe we saw something on Saturday that can be a really big positive going into the last couple of games of the season.
I hope so, because we've been crying out for what you would call maybe an operator, which is what I would describe both of the players as. Instead of, I assume a lot of players in our team are very set to their positions. Like, right, if I receive the ball here, I go no further than this line here, and I release the ball, or I look for a shooting opportunity or whatever. Whereas Ruskin and Miller seem to have either the tactical nous or the sort of license to go, right, will I run it? Will I spray it? Am I gonna go up with the attack? Am I gonna stay back and cover?
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's their tactical nous as players, as good players, or whether they're instructed as left backs to sit deeper and join the attack when they can, or why are we not seeing that across the other side? If that's the case, will be my question.
I would like to touch on that, Cal, because Ollie Turton's been playing, and Ollie Turton can't do that. I think Sorensen can.
Do we not have a player that can do that in the squad, or do we need to change the instruction because it can't work on one side and not the other?
I think Sorensen can do that. Yeah, I totally get your point. I think Sorensen is a player who can do that, but I think you've got to adapt to now what Sorensen can do after he really had some harsh words to him in his last run of games, and I think he lost a lot of confidence as well of the injuries. He was a player who was able to run onto the ball and do what Miller did, but now is the kind of player who wants it to feet, can be smart with it, play the 1-2, then get round your man or knock it round him and do that. So I think we've lacked that balance by not having Miller there and not having Sorensen there for a period of time where now I think we are going to start to see that change. And I think in terms of the license to go forward, the way you look at it when you tackle your fullbacks, you normally try and keep 3 or 4 players back in either a triangle or a square on the halfway line. Obviously, you've got your 2 sitting, and you can have your 1 in front or you have your 2 in front, depending which way you play it. With Town, if it's the 4-3-3, then it'll just be the 1. That allows either fullback to go down, and you basically can cover them channel areas by having that. And obviously, we've not seen that as much because of old formations and because of players being available, but I think we are going to see that a little bit more. The fact that Miller's getting there, Sorensen's back in the team, that we're going to see a bit more attacking from the fullbacks as well. And that there'll be a big difference of the ball going into the box. And I think I've seen a comment here saying, Ian said it, we have problems getting the balls to our strikers to score goals.
Yeah,
we do. because we're not getting the right balls in at the right areas, because at times we might not have had the quality, or the shape wasn't there, or we didn't have anyone to aim for. Whereas now I do feel as if a fullback's going to have 3 or 4 players to aim for if they get the ball midway inside the opposition half, because you've got Miller, who can go further up and whip that ball in, and Sorensen on the other side. They can both get around a man and do that. Whereas beforehand, you turn, it's very robotic. It needs to go simple. Ruffles, very similar. So it's going to be a big change for Town going forward, I think. And we can argue, is it a little bit too late? But Town didn't have them players available. They do now. So let's just hope it continues.
I think my question would be, though, in that regard, service has been a bit of an issue, but not always an issue, because look at the goals that Michael Hellett scored. Quite a lot of the time, they were headed goals because he's an absolute unit and he could get up for the ball. So was the service the problem, or was it the players? And if it is the players, why is it taking us till the back end of the season to sort of start getting on the end of this service? Because the service has been the same consistently throughout the season. You know, it's the same couple of players that are always knocking them balls in.
I think it's a bit of both, Cal, to be fair. I mean, Elliott's goals are from corners mainly, and then staying up there. But Town weren't getting that ball back in, and they don't have a presence up there as such. Matty Pearson will pop up with an header, and he'll do it fantastically. But after that, it's a small team. It's a small team, and a lot of these deliveries, in all fairness to Town, have been woeful. Since Ruskin came back in the side, since Evans came back in the side, I can't really count how many corners went past the first man, because they've just been dreadful. I mean, Wiles at the weekend was a little bit better. He floated in towards the back post, which was nice to see. Yeah. I mean, call me old-fashioned and boring, but it's the quote of, how much do you get paid a week and you can't beat the first man?
It drives me mad.
Where so-and-so on Sunday League can. It's so frustrating. I get the point of it. You'll put in a beautiful whipped crossing at that far post and then into the near post. It can come off anyone, but you know what? Get it actually in, away from the goalkeeper, and have someone on it. We don't have Hillett there anymore, and I think there has been a big difference in terms of what chances are we creating. A header from a corner isn't much of a chance unless you're creating it yourself by getting that look. And Hellick had that look and about 6 inches on everybody else as well to go and win that ball.
Well, Callum, obviously, I'm gonna sideways this next point into the next topic on the agenda. But excuse me, one of the frustrations at the weekend, and it was quite clear and visible, to be fair, was the fact that we were floating big, heavy balls into Joe Taylor, and sometimes he would win it, and sometimes he would not be able to. But the fact of the matter is, when he did win it, there was nobody up there with him to help win those second balls, or nobody pressing with him. And he did turn around at one point and throw his arms in the air like, come on, guys, there's only so much running that I can do up top. Now, I want to sideways that point into a bit of a goalkeeper chat, because we've had Nichols come back in now for a number of games. This downturn in sort of form the team's gone through has semi-happened while Nichols has been in net. Also happened a little bit at the back end of Chapman. But they're two totally different goalkeepers in my mind. One is very good at shot stopping and is an excellent communicator. But he's not the greatest at distribution. And I think that's part of the problem, where we're knocking these heavy long balls up to Joe Taylor and he's just never going to win it. Now, the other goalkeeper, obviously, in Chapman, has a lot better distribution, but he's not as an experienced as goalkeeper. And we have seen him make one or two little errors, not big, not like Ilian Mesley at Leeds. What do you think the answer to that problem is? Because it's quite clearly frustrating the hell out of Joe Taylor.
I think for me, I was watching, obviously, and thinking the same thing as you. In fact, a couple of us did say he needs another person up there with him.
Yeah.
If we're going to play like that, You need two up top. That's the system for me, that if you're going to play like that, you need that up there. However, I can see why Joe Taylor's frustrated, because it boils down to what we keep doing. And going back to what you were saying about not beating the first man. There were a game a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember who we were playing, but we were at home. Ben Wiles is on the corners. He takes one, hits the first man. He takes the next one, hits the first man. He takes the one after that, hits the first man. We're not reactive and learning from mistakes and things that aren't working. We keep persisting with things that aren't working for too long. And if you're up against a good side like we have been, the game's got away from you then. You're 1-0 down, you're 2-0 down because you've persisted. Now, a lot of people put that down to Michael Duff, but we're seeing it again under Worthy. So, is that the players? Potentially. If you
connect that,
the distribution to be long, floaty balls over at the top, you need to play two up top and have Lee Nichols in goal, because he can do that. He can spray them out all day. If you want short distribution, build up through the thirds, you'd put Chapman in goal.
Yeah. I just don't understand when Lee Nichols sees Joe Taylor not winning 70% of the balls he's playing up to him, why he still persists with the same plan. I'd love to be able to think
that was a major criticism of Duff at the time, that we were tactically naive.
Yeah, but surely the players do have brains, don't they? Surely they can see that something's not working. You'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
Right. So for me, on that, in terms of the ball going up towards Taylor, as I mentioned about the first half, you look at the way Mansfield was set up. They had three players high up, out wide as that front three. And that's how Town should have been. Because they didn't do that, they weren't pressing as a team. So this way, it all connects together. So we're seeing Lee Nichols go long and try and fit Taylor over the top, because he has got a bit of speed to him, to be fair, is Taylor. So we're looking for a quick counter-attack when he does that. That's why he's doing it. It's not looking to restart the game, because Town aren't in shape. They're going, right, okay, can we get it to Taylor? Is the distribution great from Nichols? It's okay. I think Chapman's distribution is better. So would that make a difference in terms of the quick counter-attack that we're asking for? Probably would. But also, what Town did lack was that bit of shape, especially in that first half. And I saw Nichols do it a few times. Well, we all did. And you're right, there were no options there. There were no support for him, because Town is still looking to get back their confidence, looking to get back the right mentality, looking to get the shape, get an understanding of what they're going for. Now, if you've got Lee Nichols catching the ball in the area and going, right, where's Taylor? He's off. Brilliant. Go for him. Try it. Why not see what you can do? You've got to think about the other options. Where is Taylor's options once he gets the ball? So for me saying, oh, is Nichols doing that right? Is that the right option? Or why is it just going to Taylor all the time? If it pays off, brilliant. If it doesn't pay off, my question is, where's my two wingers? Where's my midfielders? Why is the defence so far back? Constantly, Michael Tong, Kevin Russell, and John Wormington, especially in that first half, were urging that defence to come up the field. Absolutely urging them to come up the field. They were so deep. So you're right, sometimes it isn't working, but that's because it's everybody that's not doing it right. If you get it all right together, you have Taylor up there, he'll try and win the ball, and especially if it's in the first half, you've got Ruskin and Chua either side of him to pick up the pieces. Then you've got Wiles in just behind him to pick up that second ball if he does win it and he drops it off. And then after that, you've got Hodge and Kasumu. It's all about getting the players up the field. And I know, Steve, you wanted to talk about which goalkeeper is it for you, and get your comments in there as well. But for me, Lee Nichols, he is an excellent shot stopper, a communicator, a leader.
Yeah.
And he has the experience. He has the experience that Town need. Okay. I don't think Chapman has put a foot wrong. Don't think he's put a foot wrong. I think his distribution is absolutely brilliant. His touch, his pass, his long pass, his throws. He is brilliant, and he's better than Nichols at that. But there's also a lot of things that Nichols will bring for you. Don't forget, Town have lost their leader at the back. They've lost Hellick. That was a massive, massive loss. And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe Chapman was in goal at the end of Jan when Hellick lost, and we're all going, oh, what's going on here? We're lacking a leader. Nichols brings you that communication, that support for that back four. And for me, that's why he's the player that needs to be starting in goal. And I do feel for Chapman, but at the end of the day, Town have got a job to do. And if I've got a 30-year-old experienced player of the year in the Championship goalkeeper who can also captain your side, I'm going to pick him over a 23-year-old inexperienced lad.
I just find it sorry, Cal, go on.
I'd just like to add quite a facetious counterpoint just to start an argument, because why not? I actually agree with everything that you've just said. However, when Nichols comes back into the side, and you've said there, you know, we're the leader, so Nichols gives us that leadership. Would you not also say that a great many games that Nichols has started in, we have lacked direct leadership?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I also do struggle with a goalkeeper being the captain. Now, okay, he's only the stand-in when Hogg isn't there or Lees isn't there. But it's something. It certainly is something. For me, my leader, your centre-half or your centre midfielder, someone in and around it, bringing everything to the game. And yeah, when he has been there has been a lack of leadership. We know there's been a lack of leadership, but I also think there's been a lack of direction. And if you've got a lack of direction, how do you expect a leader to hold a hand up and say, I know what we're doing, boys. Leave it with me. I'll sort you all out. I'll tell you what you're doing. If you go in without a clue, there's no point having a leader out there. At least when you had Hellick, who was further forward, obviously in that defensive line, he can clear up that defence. But even when Hellick was there, further forward, there was no leader, because personally, I just don't feel as if they knew what they were doing.
Well, that comes back to the whole point we had about 4 managers ago, when Warnock first walked through the door and said that there's no leaders in the football club. There ain't hardly any leaders. Hoggy, like you said, Nichols, Matty Pearson can do it, but there ain't them leaders. I just find it an interesting debate, because obviously there's a very similar debate, not that we care about that, happening at Leeds with their goalkeepers. And obviously we've got, like I said, all the things that you named about Lee Nichols-Kane is absolutely correct. But if we want to play fast, sort of breakaway football, unfortunately, Lee Nichols, that is the one downside to him, that he doesn't have that in his game. But I love Lee Nichols. I think he's a great goalkeeper. Let's get some comments in. We've had a lot of comments from Ben. Cheers, Ben, for getting involved in the show. He said,
Ben, I love how involved you are, lad. I love it.
There's some naughty words going about on these comments, Steve. Just be careful.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry, I will be. So obviously Ben wanted to ask us a question. So he says, so say if we finish above the teams we're already above and finish above Bolton to finish 7th. And then he says, would you rather get playoffs, but it means Reading go bust at end of April as it stands, or go again next year, and Reading stay as a club? Rather be greedy or sportsmanlike? Right, okay, so this wasn't on the agenda, Ben, but it's fair enough. You've asked a question, so we have to answer it, right? Because it's what we do on the show. We don't just, talk into an echo chamber like other people do. We actually respect our we respect our supporters. So, in terms of our fan base, that are commenting. So obviously, my angle on this is, I've never ever I hate Nottingham Forest as a football club. I absolutely hate Leeds United as a football club. And I really don't like Peterborough United as a football club. But would I ever want a club to go bust because of what a football club means to that community? No.
Actually, Jay, if Leeds ever went bust.
Okay. Hopefully Jay's watching this. He definitely isn't, by the way. that's just my thing. I don't want to see football clubs go bust. Do I think that we deserve a playoff place with how we played this season? Probably not, Ben, to be absolutely honest. So if it means that Reading stays a football club, and I know that Craig further down here has said, sod Reading, sure they wouldn't give a flying toss if it was the other way around. No sentiment in football. Well, that is also true, Craig, but it's just my opinion that you've got to get into the playoffs by your own merits. And if we don't do it, then we don't deserve to get there. So, Kane, if you want to answer Ben's question very quickly.
There's nothing worse than I've been involved at football clubs for a long time, and teams which have had to, stop playing due to clubs being in poor positions, etc. And it's horrible. You never wish it as another fan, but a bit like what Steve says, you want to be in the playoffs because you deserve it. And Town at the moment, I'm struggling to see them deserve it. Although imagine if Town and Reading got into the playoffs, Bolton didn't, and Town beat Reading on penalties again. How fantastic would that be?
Put in the final. Shindy comes back.
Yeah, is he available?
Callum, would you like to answer Ben's question directly?
Yeah. Nah, I mean...
Thanks, yes, Callum.
I never want to see a club go bust. But let's come back to the real world. We're not getting into playoffs, so it don't matter.
Oh, right.
Oh, we're just not. Right. If we get into
playoffs, everybody for getting involved in the show. Cheers, lads.
If we get into playoffs, right, we will win the playoffs. That is Huddersfield Town. And if we do that, we will have an awful season next season. It'll be terrible. And all the 12 people that will have renewed their season tickets won't bother coming back.
That's the spirit, Kane. Callum, sorry.
That's
the spirit.
Cheers, lads.
Right. Okay. So this link. So thank you, Ben, for your question. Please do ask more.
Cheers, Ben. Nice one, mate.
I'm sure we probably can't answer every question because we'll be here for the next 2 hours. But he's put cheers, lads. So yeah, no worries. Right, Callum, you were involved in a demonstration at the weekend. We'll put it like that. Yeah. Well, how do you think it went down? What's been the reception of it? And obviously, you joked at the beginning of the show. Let's hope that you can renew your season ticket next year. I'm sure that you're getting down there already. But yeah, what I heard it. I don't know if Kane audibly heard it either, but obviously there was a certain chant that was made. There was the banner that was created. Yeah, just give us your thoughts on, why you did that and what do you think the reaction's been to it?
I think the banner was done as, the Council Loyal released a statement that basically lays out the issues that the group have with the decisions taken by the club, and the banner was to sort of underline all of that and to sort of drive home maybe the reality to some people that a lot of people have been priced out of watching Huddersfield Town Football Club, and it's great that people can go, and yes, the prices did need to go up, but I'm not necessarily sure they needed to go up quite so steeply, quite so soon. And I've seen the reaction to what the banner said, and it's really strange that on Facebook the reaction was terrible, and on Twitter the reaction was really positive. I'm not sure what that says about either those platforms or the people that use those platforms. However, I can see both sides, and I'm not going to come on here and say anything that will jeopardise the Cowshed Loyal as a group, because it was a display that we decided to do off our own backs, and obviously the club were aware. I'm not going to say if the club were happy or not, but the club were aware that we were doing it, and thus far, the reaction has been purely from the fans, and that's about as much as I think I can say without getting my head kicked in.
Right, cool. Ken, give us your reaction to what you saw.
I didn't hear any chanting as such, so someone could fill me in on what that was. I did hear the Mansfield fans singing Premier League and something up, which I actually found quite hilarious while I was trying to commentate. So yeah, if you could fill me in what the chant was, but I think it just
Okay, let's fill you in. It was Cartwright, get out of our club. That's what the chant was.
There's a video of it on my Twitter if you want to see it.
Followed by a different chant, which is a generic football chant, which I'm sure you can guess.
Yeah.
But you don't need to.
Well, the Cartwright stuff just doesn't surprise me because obviously there's a lot of people that don't want him at the club. Personally, I think it's just the managers that is not picked. That the issue that he has picked. Sorry, that the issue. I do think it speaks volumes. Does the banners that were put up, and I think it puts a little bit back to the chairman. Yes, who again, as we all agree and we all have done on the podcast, is doing a fantastic job behind the scenes. But there was a big jump on season tickets. I'm in a very fortunate position where I go and commentate on the games. I do feel as if the jump was massive. And the statement just says what it was. That it's been a bit of a failure. Towner got relegated and are now struggling for the playoffs. And season tickets went up quite a lot. As I have already said multiple times, I don't think £50 increase would have. I think that would have been perfect for everyone. And I get they've got to make money on transfer that have been spent, etc. I do feel as if some of it was just a little bit too big. So, maybe it'll help the club just think about the decisions for the season tickets next season. They aren't going to change their minds again. But if it changes their minds for the future, let's hope it's positive.
And I would also like to point out once again, we welcome the opportunity to once again to go and talk with the chairman or anybody at the football club if they so wish to discuss any of this. I have tried to make contact on a number of occasions through different avenues, and yeah, that offer will always be open and extended. And as Kane says, we have said a number of positive things as well as being critical at the same time. Okay, let's move on from that. Obviously, we've got a number of other comments coming in. Ben's not asked any more questions, but he did say we are too nice, basically. So, I mean, that's lovely, Ben. Thanks very much. Jed has also joined from Oz. Hey up, Jed, how are we doing? He has said, morning, boys. Is it true that I have booked a car share with Jane Brownie for the Wembley playoff weekend? Jed, I can neither comment, deny, or confirm that rumour. At this moment in time, but we'll see. We'll see. You never know. We might book out a box at Wembley for the whole weekend. Who knows? We'll have to dip into the
assume they're going to get to Wembley.
Well, we will in the playoffs.
Are you expecting Bradford City to drop down the league?
All right, kid.
Great.
If there's any City fans on here, Kane can be your representative for the evening. Right, Town have a tough test coming up on Tuesday night against Wickham. We'll start with you, Callum. Now, I have got the league table up here in a nice graphic from BBC Sport. Let's give them credit so I don't get copyrighted.
Oh, yeah, they don't get it.
Here is the league table as it stands. Birmingham have pretty much won the league, for being honest. Wrexham, I would expect them now to go up in second. Wickham sit third on 75 points. Stockport sit fourth on 74 points. And then it goes Charlton on 73, Bolton on 66, Reading on 65, Huddersfield 64, and then an outside chance for the playoffs, Leyton Orient and Blackpool both on 60. So we're playing third place Wickham. Callum, how are you feeling about going into the game? They've had a bit of a sticky patch as of late, but obviously they're still everybody's sort of surprise team this season.
Yeah, I feel like I come on here and I'm just pessimistic all the time, but I'm really not confident because they are a well-drilled side. They are. So think of the first half on Saturday. Everything that we think Mansfield did well, Wycombe will do well for 90 minutes. And I don't think a change of player in a certain position is going to be good enough for us to be able to play around that. I'm entirely hoping that I'm wrong and that, we can work some tactical mastery and we'll pull off sort of Chef Wednesday worthy last time sort of result. But I think they're well drilled. I think they've got decent, dangerous players that we are going to struggle to marshal. And I think we'll be suffocated by them because that's the sort of way that they like to play. They like to sit on top of your most dangerous players and tightly mark. So again, this goes back to what we were saying before. If we're playing long distribution up top to Joe Taylor from Nichols, that's going to be a very quick way of losing possession against Wycombe because that's almost what they want you to do. Now, I'm hoping that we'll have done our homework and sort of seen that coming. However, I can't see us breaking them down, and I can very much see them breaking us down.
Again, the boy that they've got up top is a bit special for them, and he scored some goals.
Yeah, and they're a good side. They're not up there because they're poor, are they? So, unlike when Town were in playoffs, they were up there even though they were poor. Town leave themselves very open in this formation, but I think what I've seen from Huddersfield, they will cover for each other. Four at the back, everyone knows their role. And I think that is a positive thing for Huddersfield, especially for the rest of the year. So they're going to have their hands full, yes. It is going to be a tight game. It's which Huddersfield Town wants to turn up. As Carl said, is it the one that turned up in the first half or is it the one that turned up in the second half? Wycombe will come with they'll be wanting something out of it. Obviously, losing to Huddersfield at their place, 1-0, and last couple of games haven't been ideal for them. It's a perfect place to come and show themselves, actually, we're not out of the fight here for automatics. And we're not out of the fight for the playoffs if that happens. That we're up for it. And I think Town have got a really tough running compared to everybody else. And it starts on Tuesday. Wycombe's running is a lot better. But this is a real test for either side. And I still think we're at a position at the moment with Worthy where I certainly have an idea of what he wants to do and how he wants to play. Yeah. But it's getting that onto the field on a match day, which at the moment is hard. And it's that consistency, is that mental toughness, that confidence that Huddersfield Town have lacked throughout the season. In fact, since Championship, which really does make it hard for Huddersfield to go and say, a few weeks ago when I said that they'll go down to Charlton and do well. That's because I believed in what Worthy wants to do. But I didn't expect that to happen. I didn't expect them to lose like they did. I didn't expect them to lose to Lincoln. I expect them to beat Mansfield, yes. Did I expect Mansfield to be as good as they were? No. And I know Carl said it, Mansfield, were Huddersfield bad and Mansfield were average, or were Mansfield good and Town were okay? That again is down to your opinion. I generally thought Mansfield were pretty good, but I also thought Town were bad. It's putting it all together and getting a full 90-minute performance, and they're going to have some confidence out of yesterday, and it's about breeding that confidence into Tuesday night. I don't know. I'd love to come around and say, you know what, Town are going to be fine. They're going to win it 1-0. I think it's going to be. I think Wycombe might be a bit of a smash and grab. I think Town they're going to perform. They're going to need to perform under the lights Tuesday night. Beautiful time to play. Weather's just getting a little bit better, so it's not freezing. Hopefully, the fans are going to be up for it, but the fans need to be up for it because that's if Town are up for it, and the fans will be, and it'll all work out beautifully. But It's just not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. As Cal said, Wickham they're a good side for 90 minutes.
Yeah. What? Obviously, I'll just bring up the table again, because I think before I get your predictions, obviously there's only 6 games left now. I think it's between. I don't think we're catching Charlton, lads. I'll be honest. I think it's between Bolton down to, down towards realistically, but Blackpool and Leyton Orient could get there. Callum, if I asked you now, with 6 games left before we play on Tuesday, are we making the playoffs? Are you confident or not?
Nah.
Okay.
I think the side's around us in much better form. I also think that once the Town players, because we have a tendency to do this, once the Town players get a whiff that it may be slightly out of reach, then that's the team then stop performing. For me, I've seen it before. I've seen it happen with the managerial change. It's going to be an even more impetus for that to happen. And I'm going to go out on a limb and crucify me for it, whatever. If we don't win on Tuesday, for me, it's done.
Mathematically, though, we can still get to 81 points, and we've always been promoted on 81 points. So there's still hope there.
Mathematically, Leicester could stay up in the Premier League, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen.
I mean, they sure can stay in the Premier League. They're not Southampton, who's already been relegated.
Great knowledge. Well done.
There we go. You say great. There we go. Kane, are we making the playoffs? If so, I can clip you up for the last game of the season.
Have you still got the league table up, Steve?
No, but I can get it up for you.
Just get it up a minute. I'm more focused on Town's running. I also agree with Cal in the sense that Town have to win on Tuesday. Town have to win on Tuesday. After that, it's Burton away, and it's Cambridge at home. 2 games, and I'm thinking Town win them. Yeah. Stockport away, very tough. Exeter away, very tough. Leyton Orient at home. If Town bag a win on Tuesday, that is going to breed so much confidence.
If we
should go down to, pardon?
If we win on Tuesday, it's on.
Yeah, this is the point I'm making. It's on. You go down to Burton, who were struggling. Town go win that one. That's another one. The back at home, Cambridge, struggling. Town beat them 4-0. You're thinking, okay, it's on. We can win that. That's 3 on a bounce. That's 3 on a bounce, hitting the right times at the right places. You don't know what's going to happen to them other teams in the next 3 games. Bolton, Charlotte, anything could happen with them. Then you're going into Stockport going, a Town close to Stockport here? With these 3 games? We don't know. Could that build momentum? It could be a massive game. Will Town win there? They did enough at home. They could do it away. Exeter, a side who were, mid-table, in and around, weren't they? They had a good run for the playoffs at one point around January, I think it was.
Yeah.
And now they've dropped back a little bit. But it's away from home. That's such a long way to go. But Town will be down there a couple of days before. They should be ready for it. And then Leyton Orient at home, and when it matters the most, that could be absolutely crucial. And I'm talking like this. If Town win on Tuesday, if Town don't win on Tuesday, then I think you're asking a lot. You're asking a lot. But I think if they get the 3 points, then I feel like there's a good bit of momentum and good bit of confidence coming into them last 3 games, which them last 3 games, they're the crucial ones.
I mean, I know you're saying sorry,
Steve, just very quickly, just reflecting on what you've said there. You look at the playoffs, you want to go in with momentum. You want to go into them last games with momentum. Now, if we win the games that you've sort of mentioned there, that changes our form from what it is now to what would be, I think, 5 wins out of 6 games.
Yeah.
That's the sort of form you want to be going into those sort of games with.
Yeah.
because it breeds confidence. And players like we've got now need confidence. The fans in the stadium to generate that atmosphere that gets us over the line, that got us over the line against Luton in that playoff. That we need that sort of confidence going into them games.
The way I'm looking at it is
get us out of this division at the point that we're at now. That's what's going to get us out of this division if we're going to get out this season, which I don't think we will, and I sort of don't want us to, but that's a whole different thing.
The way I'm looking at it is there's 4 winnable games and 2 very tough ones. I think, like you said, and I agree, Kane, going down to Exeter's never easy because of the length of journey. But they're not playing well at the moment. But it is probably, it is a tough team. I think Leyton Orient, if they can't get in the playoffs, I think that will become a dead rubber for them on the last day. So if they've not to play for. So the way I'm looking at it is there's 4 potential games there at least where we should be going for maximum points. Stockport, I think, will be an extremely tough game because they are a good side. But again, it'll be interesting when we play them because they might have given up on top 2 by the time we play them. So what they're going to do with it, are they going to, it's all about placing then, or do you kind of think, right, well, we might rest a couple of us, better players or whatever. So it's going to be really interesting.
Don't forget also, Steve, Burton and Cambridge are in a relegation battle. They're fighting for the lives. They're fighting for the mortgages, for their pay. That's, it can be catastrophic going down. We've seen it with Huddersfield, but a lot of times wages get halved. Players can't always afford to do that, especially at the bottom of League One. And Ian's just said it as well. There's no easy games in football. There's not. There's games where I feel look, there's games where I feel Town are better and will always be better, but it depends who turns up. But first and foremost, they've got to turn up on Tuesday. If they do, then everyone will believe. Everyone will believe if they turn up on Tuesday and win that game.
Peterborough t-shirts back out.
Exactly.
We believe. Right, let's get some predictions. Callum, prediction for Wickham and then also for Burton, please, on Saturday.
I think that on Tuesday night, Huddersfield Town are going to win 1-0. Yeah, you didn't see that coming, did you?
After all the negativity, you've just said that. That's fantastic. Right, okay.
And then Burton away, Huddersfield Town are going to win 5-1.
Wow. Nice.
Lay the marker down. You beat Wickham and you go to Burton, you smash them out of the park, lay the marker down. We're coming for that 6th place. What the Town?
And who scores on Tuesday?
Ruben Ruskin.
Okay, nice. Kane.
Yeah, this is quite a tough one actually. See, I've got 2 results for both games in my head. First of all, no. Listen.
5-1.
Listen, I'm saying on Tuesday, one scenario will be goalless draw, which means my game against Burton will be a 1-0 loss to Huddersfield. Burton would win that one. That's what I'm saying, because the heads will have gone. But if Town win 1-0 on Tuesday, then I think they go down to Burton and beat them 4-0.
See?
Okay. So which scenario are you going for? That you have if you
first one.
Yeah. I'm not telling you.
No, putting you on the spot. Come on.
I think Town are going to do it on Tuesday.
Yes. Okay. Right. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw on Tuesday, and I'm going for a 4-1 win on Saturday against Burton. Where we can all have a Carling after the game, because that's where Carling is brewed. There's a top fact for you. Okay, right. So we're going to end the podcast here. Thank you very much for everybody getting involved. Really do appreciate all the comments, from Ben asking really tough questions about Reading going bust to Jed all the way from Australia eating his cornflakes, and Ian getting involved. Terrier 3930, Blue Terrier 19. It's been absolutely fantastic, guys. The amount of comments has just been great. We really, really do appreciate it. Please chuck a like on the video, share and subscribe also to the channel, where you can see me, Kane and Cal and Zach when he comes back on more of a regular basis, because your little notification pops up, tells you Mr. Kane Hall will be back on Sunday, or Cal or me, and there you go. So we're going to end now the podcast. Thanks for getting involved. Let's hope that Worthy can get the magic going on Tuesday night under the bright lights of the John Smith Stadium, the theatre of dreams of Huddersfield. Worthy to win against Wycombe Wanderers and take us to the playoffs. See you later, guys. Thank you very much.